You've gotten from them your whole life. Rituals don't do good to people. They waste their time. They waste their energy. They waste their wealth. They fool them. Show me and show the world that all these things that we are doing in the name of Allah and the name of Islam really empower us to get out of the rut that we are in. If there are people who are in a rut, it is Muslims. If there are people who are sitting on the edge of falling into their own fire, it's the Muslims. You can travel the world. People get mad when you talk about their societies. But we are members of this society. We need to wake up. Ramadan is not a month of blessings. There is nowhere in the Qur'an that Ramadan is Shahr Mubarak. It doesn't say anything like that. It is a month of the Qur'an. Prove to yourself. Prove to your family. Stop reading this Qur'an in Arabic when you don't know A to Z of Arabic. Study this Qur'an. You can't read it like the parrots we have been accustomed to see in society. Please consider reading it like your book of economics, like your book of psychology, like your book of computer science, like your book of medicine, like your book of engineering science. Read it like that and more than that. Whatever you read, you need to understand it and comprehend it. Otherwise, you are not only following the dead structures of society, you are leading this society to continue in the way they feel. So brothers and sisters, because of time, I'm just going to tell you that Ramadan is not about, the main focus of Ramadan is not to stay away from food and stay away from drink and marital relation, and this seems to be the big thing. The word sawm comes from the verb sawma. And those who know Arabic and are studying Arabic, sawma has the root letters of sad, waw and mim. And the primary meaning of sawma is not he fasted, is he abstained. He withheld himself from participating. Study the story of Maryam in the Qur'an, chapter 19, verse 26. Study, go to the Qur'an and study. The best explanation of the Qur'an is in the Qur'an. Ask all the mufassirun that you believe in. And they have to accept that the best tafsir is al-Qur'anu bil-Qur'an. And Allah told us in the Qur'an, in Surah Al-Furqan, in chapter 25, He told the beloved Prophet, He says, وَمَا يَأْتُونَكَ بِمَثَلٍ إِلَّا جِئْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ. Your detractors do not ever bring any situation before you, confronting you with the revelation revealed unto you, إِلَّا جِئْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ, except that we respond with reality and the truth. وَأَحْسَنَ تَفْسِيرًا. وَأَحْسَنَ تَفْسِيرًا. I didn't make this word up. I cannot touch it. وَأَحْسَنَ. Hasan and Ahsan. وَأَحْسَنَ تَفْسِيرًا. And the best tafsir. But what Muslims have done? They have left the tafsir of Allah and they have gone to the tafsir of their mashayikh, of their ulama, of their fuqaha. And that's why we're in this mess. We are in this mess because many of the tafasirs, they're filled with the khurafat of Bani Israel. They're filled with the folklore of Bani Israel. But you and I, on an average, read books of economics and we burn the oil to understand it. We read books of politics and we burn the oil to understand it. We read books of medicine and we burn the oil to understand it. We read books of psychology and we burn the oil to understand it. But the average mother and father of this nation called Muslims have the least time to study the Qur'an. They have the least time, so their children are following their footsteps. We are a nation who know the least about the language of the Qur'an. We are a nation who know the least about the message of the Qur'an. And that's why you find on an average, the average Muslim family give the least to understand the Qur'an. They pay the least attention. Sawm. Sawm. Hear what Maryam says in conclusion because of time. You have to understand the scenario of the society of Maryam. She was living in a difficult time. When a woman, to preserve her chastity, it was such a difficult thing that the institutions of the church was so corrupted. I'm not telling you that much has changed. But the institutions of this religious environment was so corrupted that she had to stand firm to maintain her chastity. And Allah said to her in the words, Kuli washrabi. I know the popular meaning you have for this, and I don't have the time to talk to you about this. And all you know of Kuli washrabi means to eat and drink. So that what Muslims do every day? They eat and drink. But those of you who want to learn, go to the lexicons of the Arabic language and study what's akala and the imperative kul. As for Maryam Kuli, she was female. And what's the meaning of shariba? And most people know shariba means to drink. But if I tell you shariba also means to comprehend, to understand. Right? So the Quran tells her, Kuli washrabi wa qarri ayna wa imma tariyanna. And if you happen to see any human being in a bashari ahada, faquli, then say, express yourself. Inni nadartu lirrahmani sawma. You want to understand how sawm is used in the Quran? Look at the story with Maryam. She said to them, I have taken an oath, I have taken a pledge, I have made a commitment to Allah, most compassionate and most kind. Inni nadartu lirrahmani sawma. The common translation is, the common traditional translation is, I have taken an oath with Allah that I will not speak to any human being. If you understand that, I don't understand it like that. I understand that I will not allow my personal self to dialogue with this society. I will allow divine grace to do the talking. We need to understand that if this fasting, the way we've been doing it, was really from Allah, it would have resurrected this society. You ask your own self. That's all I'm asking you. Ask your own self, what you make out of your staying away from food, what you make of your staying away from drink, how much has it brought you into contention to become a muttaqi? And because of time, we will close here. Next week, inshallah, we will talk of what's the purpose of siyam, which is taqwa. Don't miss that. Because taqwa don't mean to fear Allah. Taqwa doesn't mean to fear Allah. Taqwa has a whole list of things that is expected of us that we have got to work and struggle to become before we can become muttaqi. And if we don't become muttaqi with this siyam that we are doing, we are wasting our time. So says the Qur'an, not me. Because I know our human beings, we are almost saturated in terms of knowledge. We are almost saturated in terms of growth and development. We are stuck with what we have inherited from our forefathers and we hear from our communities all over. But I just hope that you might be somebody, that I might be somebody who still have room in his life for change, for growth, for development, for enhancement, who still have a need to get out of the darkness that we are part of, to get out of the oppression and the suppression, of the ignorance, of the stagnation, of the uselessness